When your stash is low, when your cash ain't full, when you need to max out your arsenal, it's time for Goodwill hunting. Alright, it is my favorite time of the month. Caught up with everything. We are current. It's time to test out the blasters I got from the previous month. We are in January. It's a cold month, which is indicated by my blue lights and my blue shirt. And we are doing all the blasters I was able to acquire in December of 2022. Now, previously, I stated that I didn't plan on getting a lot of blasters in December because I figured there wouldn't be a lot out there locally. But I did not have in mind the fact that I was going down to Portland, Oregon to visit friends for New Year's. So that weekend, right before New Year's, still in December, did a little baby road trip, which led me, of course, to the giant Seattle Dearborn Street Goodwill, which if anyone is local and you like Nerf, please go to the Dearborn Goodwill. It is insane. There are always so many blasters when I go, and the prices there are still awesome. Because with inflation, with the economy as it is, even thrifted blasters are starting to go up. Value Village has kind of always been terrible, but even Goodwill is bumping up their prices. But as I say that, again, Seattle Dearborn Goodwill, always amazing. $2, $3, $4 cheaper than any other Goodwill I go to. Was expecting 10 to 15 blasters at most for December 2022, but we'll take a look first at the comparison graph month to month. Boom! Almost making it to the June 2022 number of thrifted blasters, and then comparing it to all Decembers previously. Wow! Completely dwarfs every previous December I've done. So, around, I think, 37 blasters, if I remember correctly. You know, one of the highest months of all time, probably. I'm sorry, we're taking up a little bit of time, but another thing before I test the blasters for this month, which is probably going to be a little longer because there's a lot of blasters to get through. But I realized I was making a spreadsheet to kind of see year to year how things were progressing, and I realized that I'm getting close to 1,000 thrifted blasters according to my spreadsheets, which I would say is a bit of a milestone. So starting with November, I was at 905, and now I think I'm hitting 942. Maybe I'll put a counter or something here. We'll go from 905 up to 942, and yeah, we're getting close to 1,000 blasters. That's it for the jibber jabber. Now I'm going to get into testing these blasters. I'm going to try to run through these without little chit chat as possible, but there are some I want to talk about, so I'm sorry. Don't want to talk about these very much. We'll just power through the commons. We got two cute little elite. Not sure what happened there. Jolts. A bow strike. Wow. A bow strike. A bow strike? Apparently not. Okay. A bow strike. Elite rough cut. Things are not going well. Moving on to the uncommons. Falcon Fire. Tri-Break. Proton. Okay. And a Proton that actually works. Rebel Crossbow. We got one Nitron and a second Nitron with the Paragon 40 round disc drum. Sounds like this one has batteries. And definitely an epic 2 legendary magazine. Sad, but functional. So just as a little aside, when I was trying to take the batteries out of one of the Nitrons, I came across this. I thought this was kind of funny. So that fires pretty hard. Sounds like it's running a little rough, because when I opened it up, I'm assuming IMR is in here in these C converters, plus just a wire. Just chilling. but you saw it working, so I thought that was pretty funny, you know, super jank, but I guess effective. I think this stuff is super hilarious when this happens, but wow, EFES 700 milliamp hour lithium batteries, so I guess just a little bonus. 2 VTX Vigilons and a VTX Praxis. I am still hunting for the Paragon. The VTX Paragon is something that I am hunting to the ends of the earth at the moment because I have not seen one, and I really, really want it. It's got the 40 round drum in a different color, and I think the problem is that they sold it for like $60, which seems outrageous for what a Paragon is, really. So much more rare than the Vigilon and Praxis. I see these all the time, but that Paragon, searching. This month was, found quite a few pistols that I don't normally pick up, but they were pretty cheap, so Doomland's Persuader, that works. Got the Zombie Strike Green Rough Clip, Zombie Strike Side Strike, which as far as ergonomics and look go, I've been liking these a lot lately, and I've been seeing a lot more. Of course, the $5 Chronos. Happy to pick these up all the time. Got a bit of a Frankenstein setup. We got the yellow front gun for the long shot, which I love to see because I have, for the long shot front guns, very few of these. And then the Super Soaker stock, and it is the crimson one. This is my first crimson one I've seen. I have quite a few of the navy blue colored stocks for the Super Soaker, but this is probably an epic to legendary stock, I would say. Is extendable, looks perfect, and is nice, has an excellent structure, unlike a lot of the jiggly, wiggly stocks that they make for a lot of the blasters. So, very excited to see this, one of my favorite stocks. Similar to the Raider, but much more rare. Normally, I don't go for the Star Wars stuff or any of the sort of franchisey IP blasters, but I really liked this tiny little Imperial blaster, and it's super cheap. Also came with the goofy little sight, so I decided to grab a couple of these. Looks like they both work and they're adorable. Last in the uncommons, Modulus, with this sort of extendable blaster stock. It was definitely cheap enough to grab, and it came with the stock, which I do not have, although it is filthy now that I'm really inspecting. Last of the uncommons, got a Modulus. Moving along to the rares, a lot of which just because I'd never seen them or grabbed them before. So for the Doomlands line, a blaster I'd never picked up, we've got the Negotiator. Now, looking at this on television or on a computer screen, I hated it. I hated the look. But it's kind of growing on me. It's got a silly design, super chunky, and the hammer pull is really one of my favorite ways to prime a blaster. So I'm kind of more into it than I thought I would be originally. Definitely better than the Persuader. I hate how the Persuader looks, but this Negotiator is a little bit better than that. So glad to see this for the first time. Now we've got an XD Strife with the old Recon front barrel attachment. That's great. And I see Strifes far less frequently now. They're kind of in the rapid strike category. Like, maybe I wouldn't pay $15, but if a Strife or a rapid strike are sub 10, I'm always gonna get them no matter what. So grab this little guy. All right, then we got a Diatron, which as I'm looking at this more closely, I'm realizing it is real messed up in the front. All the plastic is bent and it's kind of askew here, but see if it still functions, hopefully. Was that both? Yeah, I fired 2 shots. Nice, the old Diatron. Got a re-release Vigilon. Works great. Not part of the blaster count, but we got a couple of the dart tag, I guess, flags. Now, I've never seen these for this cheap. They were $5 and I think on sale, so I think they came to about like $3.50 or so, all said and done. But that was cheap enough for me to grab some Elite 2.0, which I've been wary about. And I continue to be upset every time I get these things. They just feel gross. The trigger pull is pretty gross. This one might even be broken. The magazine release, I think, is just bending plastic. It's not a spring. It doesn't have that spring feel. It just, ugh. everything on this just feels so cheap. This jam door. Oh my gosh. 2.0 is supposed to be an improvement. You're supposed to have taken something and taken it to the next level. I don't know what you would call this, but it's not Elite 2.0. We haven't made any progress other than how cheaply you can get this manufactured, I guess. So Hasbro, I'm not sure what you're doing here, but it's gross. This leaves a disgusting taste in my mouth. I think I'm done. These are the last Elite 2.0 things that I will ever get until they start releasing something that isn't this. Ugh. To get away from that, let's look at some blasters that I think Hasbro is doing properly, and that's the rival stuff. Where 2.0 is getting worse, I would say I like the looks, and the rival blasters are getting much better. This was the first time seeing this little guy, so I'm calling it rare. Fires amazingly. Oh god, so much better. Feels good. Was able to snag both the red and blue variety of the Knockout in the same month. Pretty cool design, different, feels different. It's definitely very chunky handle. I don't have the biggest hands, but these handles are massive for me. That one works. What have I done wrong here? Oh, I might have the safety still on, safety mechanism. Dang, and that fires hard as well. Happy to grab both colors in the same month. All right, moving along. Good old Desolator, favorite Doomlands blaster. Looks like it has some decent battery. Always wonderful to see these. Found a modulus tri-strike and it was cheap enough, and it actually came with the missile launcher. I was willing to snag it. Mag release, awful, of course. But with all the terrible blasters that Hasbro's been putting out lately, I find myself revisiting some of the older stuff I wasn't that into, and maybe appreciating it more. Because this at least feels like what I'm used to when it comes to a Nerf blaster. Then a clear Maverick, and I had to get this even though it's in pretty tough shape, but doesn't have the return spring or even the ability to prime, it looks like. It's got the old pennies behind the spring modification. Get just a little bit more compression there. So this was kind of for me just a little time lost artifact. Some of the original mods in here with the silly penny spring thing. Happy to see this, and I think it's kind of funny. Now, last of the rares, because I saw, it's the first time I've seen it, it is what I would consider the Fugly Mercury. I don't like how this looks. I think it's silly to have a prime bar like this on a pistol sort of thing, but still works, still functions great, part of the Rival Edge series. So anyway, last of the rares, let's move on to two epics. First epic we got here is the Hades, and it even came with a little strap, which is a lovely addition to any blaster. And that works wonderfully. Always happy to see a big fat epic. I think this originally retailed for like 70 bucks. Typically, my standard is to try to get like a 1/5 price differential. If I'm paying 20% of the original MSRP intent, then I'm pretty happy to grab a blaster. And this was down at like 1/7, so always gonna grab this. And I'm happy to see the Hades. Hadn't seen it forever, and now it's been showing up a lot more lately. But here it is now, finally. And I'm probably gonna be gushing here at the end a little bit, but the final epic is the Saturn. Never seen this before. And I have to admit, normally I don't test the blasters before I make this video. Mostly because I want to be candid with my reactions when something is messed up or doesn't work, or I see some sort of blemish that I didn't notice before. But I have to admit, I've been playing with this thing for the last couple of weeks because I was not prepared for how much I was going to love this. As much as I hated the Mercury and how it looked, this thing to me actually looks and feels amazing. It's got that like skeet or trap shooting shotgun style, that going for it, but in a more of a futuristic way. So as far as my taste goes, this thing is fantastic. Where the trigger is located and sort of the angle that you approach it with your hand feels amazing. The only thing Sometimes your hand will slip off. It's kind of hard to get a grip. I typically, after firing it, 200 times or whatever around the house, I've decided that maybe getting your index finger here, a little claw around there to get a solid prime where you're not slipping your hand off is pretty important. But wow, this thing is epic for sure. This was kind of a sleeper for me. I saw it, when the Edge series was released, and I was like, whatever. I saw the Mercury and I was like, this is not for me. But actually holding this, grabbing this, and firing this, I am in love with the Saturn. So super happy to have grabbed one of these, and that's it. Sorry for gushing a little too much maybe about the Saturn, but very happy to add this to my collection. And I will be looking a lot harder for these out there in the world. Alright, that's it for December 2022 Nerf thrifting blasters. Till next time, guys, you can be serious about Nerf, but don't take Nerf too seriously. I'm gonna go hang these up.